Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here for this special conversation that we're having for 4 years from now with somewhat of an industry legend, probably needs no introduction, Maurice Levy, the chairman of Publicis.
Merci. Thank you.
You've seen many cycles, many decades in the industry, and you're on a startup stage. So tell us about your message to the participants here this year. What should they be thinking about?
You want to start like this? I thought that you will be starting by asking what has been my life during all these years, etc., what it is all about to be almost retiring.
It's about survival now, though, isn't it?
Yes.
As you look at some of the big industry changes, disruption in the media industry, disruption with technology. It's a game of survival. So how do people position in this type of environment?
No, but you know, it's relatively easy if you want to be adapted to the new world. You just need to have your eyes wide open and to be observing all the trends and all the changes and adapting yourselves to the changes. It's extremely important to be permanently challenging yourself. And this is what we have been doing, and the transformation of Publicis and my own adaptation to the new world has always been challenging what I have been doing and adapting.
I think what jumps out too in this phase is that you've got companies that are very nimble, they're startups, they're doing particularly well. You see many of them outside and here in the hall, but you've also got big players that are going for scale. They are consolidating. Your company's done it. My company, the owner of our network of CNBC, Comcast, just yesterday announced it would be offering £22 billion for Sky. What do you make of the consolidation attempts that are taking place in media?
If you look at what happened, the Google, Facebook, the GAFAM, to make it short, have redefined scale. And this has been said, by the way, by Brian Roberts in his interview in the Financial Times this morning. And the redefinition of scale is leading all the players to redefine their own strategy in order to be at a scale which make them still a key player. If you look at a few years ago, Comcast, as it is today, would have been a big company. Today, it's a decent company. Disney is not that big. And when you have companies whose value is 5, 6, 7, and 800 billion, this is a size that we have not seen since the inception of the economy. So it's very important to merge, acquire, in order to have a size which lets you still be a player.
You spent a lot of time marketing to consumers. Do you think consumers will be impacted by a deal of this size?
The consumers are always impacted when there is a deal, always, because either they pay the price or they benefit from. When you look at the deal that is expected to be made by Brian Roberts, Comcast, there is some rationale behind. It's not only a question of size, it's also a question of international. You have Sky, which is in the UK, in Germany, in Italy, and a little bit over the world. And you have Comcast, which is mainly in the US. So already by combining the two, you have a global, if not yet global, at least an international company which can take advantage of the size to reduce the cost of a few things, to have some synergies, to acquire other operations, and to build a global company with a different size. I don't know the exact number, but you have Comcast, which has something like 20 plus million subscribers. You have Sky, who have a few million also. The big players like Netflix is 100 million subscribers. So the consumer will benefit from the fact that they have a global reach.
How do you feel as an agency placing ads? Because you would be placing ads with a much larger company effectively across Europe. Is there any impact on the cost of ads or the allocation of the ads if there is a bigger group, a bigger Comcast group in Europe?
The game for us is relatively simple. We need to have the audience, and we need to address the message to the right audience, and be it through Comcast, Sky, or Google, or Facebook, or any other means. What is very important is to have the cheapest, the lowest possible price for each audience, and to make sure that that audience is really looking at the ads and it's interested by the ads. So targeting is essential. And we have changed the approach of targeting because with all the data which are already available nowadays, we can target very precisely the audience, and we can tell you what you like, and we can send you the message on what you like, and avoid to be intrusive by sending you a message on things that you are not interested in. So the fact that you have big guys in the game is making our job more complicated, more difficult, because it's tough to negotiate with those big players. But we have...
Comcast would be a tougher negotiator, is that what you're saying? Comcast would be a bigger company to negotiate with if there was a deal with Sky.
So it will be tough. Be it Comcast or be it Disney, in any given way, because at the end of the day, Sky will not be independent. So whatever happens, there will be a change in the landscape, be it under the flag of Comcast or be it under the flag of Disney and Bob Iger. So it will be a fight between the two of them, and the first beneficiary will be the Murdoch family. So the player will be bigger, the stake will be bigger, and the difficulty to negotiate will be even more difficult because, obviously, they would like to sell at the highest price and would like to buy at the lowest possible price for our clients. The good news is that we have the client on our side, and we have many different opportunities, so we have a leverage. And today, between TV, video, and internet, we have a real leverage to find the right solution for our clients.
I want to weave this into a broader discussion around some of the industry trends, because what has been cropping up regularly in the numbers every time you report and your rivals report is that the bulk of new revenue growth is going towards digital. It's going to some of the big players like Facebook and Google. How does a big industry deal, whether it's a Comcast deal or whether it's a Disney deal, how does it help these companies claw back revenue that is going to the technology companies? Does it do anything to arrest that decline in revenue for the traditional players?
As long as you have a growth in the audience, you will have those companies, and not only the audience, but also the interaction. With internet, the good news is that not only you can target very precisely, so I know exactly who you are, etc., but I can send you a message and you can react immediately. The bad news is that there is a lot of fraud, there is the fake news, and there is a lot of other issues. When it comes to TV, we see a stable market share of TV, and we see a discrepancy between the distribution, who is benefiting more than the other. And the fight for advertising dollars is relatively easy to arbitrate because we have to put the dollars of our client where the return of their investment is the highest possible. So we can expect that the growth of the tech company will continue to grow, and we can expect this to represent, it is today for the combination of Facebook and Google 72% of the whole growth that they are capturing. Maybe it will go down to 50%, but they will still have the big bulk of the growth. The only way to reduce that level is to have sizable solutions, and that's the reason why Comcast is looking at this opportunity, and also Disney. By the way, the two will be fighting to see who has the best solution and who has the best offer. And I think that, as I said, the beneficiary of the fight will be Rupert Murdoch and his family.
On that note, let me ask you about some of the other big industry players, because it hasn't been smooth sailing for a lot of your clients who are advertising on some of the social media platforms. There's been a lot of backlash about where some of the ads have been placed next to inappropriate content. And there was a stand that was taken by Unilever. Keith Weed decided to criticize the murky world of digital and threatened to pull some ads from the platforms. Now, this didn't last for very long, but it did tell us something about the power of some of the clients.
There is a few issues with the world of internet, and some of our clients are unhappy with some of those issues. The first one is obviously when you place your ad next to violence, to pornography, or to hatred, or to racism, etc. So this is something that the client hates, and we as ad agency, we don't like at all, and we put a lot of pressure on the players in order that they have solutions which avoid the proximity of your ad and that content.
Are they coming up with solutions? I know they've hired a lot of engineers.
It's complicated. The best example which has been given to show that they are not yet there is that example of the little girl which has been burnt with napalm in Vietnam, and Facebook has eliminated the image considering it's porn because it's a little girl which was naked. So it's complicated, and it's not something that you can do easily, despite all the progress of artificial intelligence. So that is one aspect. The second aspect is fake news, and you don't want to be associated with fake news. And we, as ad agency, we don't like that our clients, their ad, their image, are next to news which can be controversial.
So is there
and the third aspect, which is probably one of the most important one, is fraud. There is a lot of fraud on internet, and you have people who build sites which are absolutely fake, and you have a robot who is clicking instead of people, and they get the money, and they go, and they run, and they build another site, they get the money, and they run, etc., and they repeat it several times. And this is something which is a big issue, because it's a few billion which are evaporated simply because there are some clever people who are using the technology just to steal advertising money.
So when it comes to the industry reaction, there was some applauding that Unilever had taken a line in the sand, even if it didn't last very long. Some say it would be a much more powerful message if the media agencies like yourself pulled together some of your clients and said, enough is enough, and pushed back firmly against the tech companies by pulling ads from not just one client, but a range of clients, which would involve much more money. Is that a stand that you're willing to take?
Who is telling you that we are not doing this from time to time?
Is it happening?
It has happened, but it's quiet. We don't need to have a headline in the press.
Did it happen in 2017?
It has happened in 17.
2018?
No,
Not yet.
not yet. But in 2017, it has happened. And several of our clients have hauled up and said, stop. And it has been a very interesting discussion with the platforms. And they have put in place some solution because these people are serious and they try to find the right solution. They are not crook. They are extremely serious and extremely competent, and they try to find the right solution because it is also something which is extremely important for the people at large. Facebook has a very important role of helping the people communicating, exchanging, etc. And Google is becoming an indispensable partner of the daily life of everyone. So on both cases, it's extremely important that both Google and Facebook can control the content and can assure our clients that they will not be in a difficult situation.
Let me ask you a little bit about your business and what you're doing, because every company is having to become just a little bit more digital. And I know that you made an announcement last year where you were not going to send a lot of your staff to paid-for awards and trade shows. So we're quite lucky to have you here today on stage. But instead you're going to...
It's not a trade show. This is not a trade show.
Industry show.
No. It has nothing to do with a trade show. It's a great event which is offering the trade show with the mobile. But this one is a great event, a little bit like Vivatech, which is celebrating the startups and offering to the startups a platform in order that they can find the investors, they can find collaboration with a large company. And this is extremely important. Everything that we can do to help the startups to have a platform where they can show what they are doing, they can pitch, they can discuss with investors is absolutely necessary, indispensable to their life, to their progress. And I don't consider this as a trade show. The mobile, GSMA, that is a trade show. That's very different. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. And there's been some support in the audience for that. The broader point I was trying to get to is that you've embarked upon some cost cutting, but you've also invested in a virtual assistant, Marcel. How is that virtual assistant going?
Okay, this is something which is extremely complex and that we try to do since several years. And Arthur Sadoun, the CEO who succeeded me, has decided to concentrate all the efforts on building Marcel. And he cut an agreement with Microsoft, and we have Microsoft will supply the artificial intelligence with our team from Sapient. And the idea is to have all the people of the group who have access to every single job, and they can collaborate. And there are some examples which are extremely interesting. For example, you have a team from Brazil and from Australia working on Walmart in the US from their desk and their platform through that system. So this is something which is extremely important because we give to the talent the access to a lot of new opportunities of jobs, new opportunity of work, new challenges, and to work with people that they will never meet. And for someone who is living, let's say, in Dubai, and having the possibility of working with an Israeli, which would be quite interesting, on a client in the US, it's something which is unique. And this is what we are bringing to our people, and this is what we are bringing to our client by offering them the point of view of people coming from different regions of the world and different culture. And in nowadays, the idea of closing a country,
Right.
of saying that country, now there is borders and no one is entering, this is stupid, it's irrelevant, and it's contrarian to the reality of the world. Communication flows everywhere, and nothing can stop the waves, and nothing can stop the communication. So this tool that is under development will dramatically change the way we are operating.
I want to ask you more broadly too about the Internet of Things, because we've seen the rollout of virtual assistants in the homes. Probably many people in the room have thought about it, or they've got it, or it might be ahead of you. And one of the big changes is that you've now got big dominant tech titans in charge of that hardware and software, which effectively means that you can speak to this device in the home but order directly from it as well. What does that mean for the advertising dynamics if you're not going into stores, you're not going into the internet, you're not seeing as many visuals, it's just one track that cuts some people out of the action?
In order to go to the extreme, which will not happen tomorrow, but let's say we are in tomorrow's world, and if we go to the extreme, the marketing of tomorrow and the communication of tomorrow is computer to computer. And we will have not to market the consumer, but to market the fridge or the computer, which would be a little bit interesting. But this is what might happen tomorrow, because if you have a replenishment of your fridge, which is automatic, and Amazon or somebody else or Walmart is sending you the replica of what you have, it's impossible for a new brand or a new product to enter into your fridge.
It's a stranglehold on the
So
market.
you need to have some clever approach, which will be based on artificial intelligence, and you have to change the way you are thinking about marketing. And instead of marketing to individuals, we may tomorrow market to Internet of Things.
Is
I
that
don't
even
believe that
possible?
it will be there,
Right.
but and I believe that there will be a lot of ways to continue to communicate to the people and with the people and interact with them. But clearly there will be some challenges which will be quite interesting.
Do you think some household brands just become irrelevant if people are doing repeat orders, whether it's laundry powder or something generic in the household? People are not turning over the items anymore, not thinking about the brand because everything's on a repeat order. Do brands just become irrelevant in the future Internet of Things?
It may, particularly if at the end of the day what you do is to give instruction to your closet or to your fridge to buy the cheapest, and then instead of a brand, you have the product at the cheapest price, and this can be generic. But generic exists since ever, and generic has been the bread and butter of many retailers, including Walmart, Carrefour in Europe, etc. And this has not changed dramatically the way we are advertising to the people. And brands are the ones who are innovating, who are bringing something new, something different, and generic are, including in pharmaceutical, copying, and period. So life for admin will be extremely interesting for tomorrow, because not only you will have to be as creative as you are today, you will have to master technology much better, and you will have something which is even more complicated. You have to be much more clever than we are today, because you have to find the gates in order to reach the consumer, because the consumer can barricade himself or herself behind the Internet of Things. So it's fascinating world.
On that note, we've got about 30 seconds left. Let's just close off around mixed reality. I mean, we've seen a lot more augmented reality, virtual reality come into the mix. I think some of the advertisers are dabbling, particularly with augmented reality because it's on smartphones, for instance, on the Apple devices. Are you excited about any of this new technology?
Oh, it's fascinating. It's formidable. I had vertigo with Oculus. I was looking with the mask and I had a real vertigo. What's happening to me?
You're not the only
So
one.
I love it. I think that it's something you know, everything which is bringing new experience is fantastic. And today, experience is the consumer and consumer is the experience. If you don't have the experience, you can hardly build a loyalty relationship with the consumer. So augmented reality is something which is extremely important. And not only it will be extremely useful for advertising, because you can have other ways of expressing yourself, other creative means, but there is something else, which is for the job itself, for the business in the office. And using augmented reality for the office can be extremely interesting. And we have to live in a world where fun is dominating. If we are going bored at the office, this will be really a boredom. And if you can work from your home with augmented reality and doing whatever you wish, not only it will cost much less to the company, but at the same time, it will give you a lot of freedom and you will be much more effective. You are already quite effective, but I would say one will be much more effective. So I love the idea of technology which is bringing a lot of additional aspect to life. They have to add to life.
We'll leave it on that note. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with the audience here at 4 years from now. Maurice Levy, the chairman of Publicis.
Merci.